All right. So the benefit of I'm Scot Lowry. The benefit of being named Scott is you might confuse that bio with me, maybe not. We are going to have a really fun time next. Thank you, Scott, for sharing those thoughts. I want to plus one what Reed said. The reason I'm standing here is not only because of Richard, but it's also because of Scott Cowan and Andrew and JB Silvers and their commitment to get behind this. Because we're having a lot of fun with this, and without that leadership, this doesn't happen. So I want to say thank you as well. So I'm Scot Lowry. I'm the Richard L. Osborne Professor of Entrepreneurship, teaching ETA at Weatherhead. I've been doing that for about 8 years now. I'm also a ETA entrepreneur and investor. And 22 years ago, I was where 3 of our pitch teams are today. So they're MBA students at Weatherhead, where I learned about ETA from Richard Osborne. 36 years ago, I was looking for the next keg party, not where our other 2 teams are. We have 2 high school teams from Hawken, which is a local school here, and it was pretty amazing how we came to have the Hawken folks be part of this as well. So it turns out that as I think about my beginnings with this ETA, when I graduated, so I'd heard about this. It was definitely on my mind. I was like, yes, I'm going to do this. My number one goal was to get invited back as a guest in Richard's class because I did something interesting enough that he'd want me to come share that with the students. That happened in 2008 after I bought my first company with an investor using an ETA strategy. Being in this space has absolutely exceeded all my expectations for the past 22 years. You've heard so many stories today, and everything resonates with me as well. The fact that I'm here today as a member of this community, having the opportunity to do this is, not only beyond my dream of getting invited back as a guest, but anything else that I could have possibly imagined. So we have a great panel of judges. I think we've got a slide for that. So you'll remember these folks, very familiar. They were on the panel with us previously, and also Reed. So John Davies, Denise Shade, Larry Fulton, and Reed Tileston. So thank you for the continued support here. So let me explain how this pitch competition is going to go. So the pitch teams, they're seeing this for the first time. Okay, so actually, in all honesty, I let the cat out of the bag with the HVAC team. Since they're first, I gave them a little bit of a heads up. But the rest of the teams are seeing it for the first time. This is randomly generated order. And here's what they're going to do. Each team's going to come up here, and they're going to pitch an acquisition criteria. Okay, so an acquisition criteria is one of the first things that you think through when you decide that you're interested or you're committed to this journey before you get ready to launch a search. And so basically they've been spending the last month or so. I know the Weatherhead teams have probably been working at this for a couple of months. I think, when did the Hawken? October 4th. So not even a month. The Hawken teams have been working on this, and their task was to find a quality company in an attractive industry that would be a good fit for a first-time ETA entrepreneur. So we're going to get 5 looks at what that looks like. All right. Okay, so here's the format of how this is going to work. Each team's going to come up. So the HVAC team's going to come up first. They're going to present for 5 minutes. I'll give you a warning I'll be right over here. I'll give you a warning when you've got about 30 seconds left. So get ready to land the plane when you see my hand go up. You'll finish, and then one of the judges will ask a follow-up question. So you can stay on stage, answer the question, and then the next team will come up. We're going to load your slides. I think every team's got slides. We got the clicker up here. So when you come up, you can check to make sure you're got the right slides and you're able to click, because we're on a tight time frame, not to create any more pressure for you guys. Anybody feeling a little nervous over there? Okay. All right. Then the judges are gonna evaluate. They'll ask their question. On page 20 of your workbook, we're going to get the crowd involved in this. You'll see a QR code on this page with the flaming baseball. If you click that QR code, you'll see a list of all 5 teams. Pick your favorite. Okay, so we're gonna pick the number 1, 2, and 3 team. The judges are going to take care of that, and we're also going to pick a crowd favorite. As soon as all the teams are done, we'll have just a few minutes. I think this crew is going to be pretty efficient about picking the winners, and then we'll announce the winners live, and then we'll turn it over to Jeff. So you guys ready to have some fun? All right, let's do this. Okay, so Team HVAC, are you ready? Come on up.
Hi, my name is Maddox Rook. This is Luca Garcia-Whitco. We've been working alongside Vanessa Gradual and Alex Zunt on our ETA market thesis, and we decided to go with heating, ventilation, and air conditioning installation and repair. So just a little background on the HVAC industry. Your HVAC unit is basically the thing that controls the comfort in your home as far as like temperature and air quality, and normally it's just going to sit right outside. A little bit about the market. The HVAC market is estimated at about $206.3 billion and is projected to be at $280.1 billion by 2028, which brings us to a compound annual growth rate of 6.3%. The entry point of the HVAC market, or the average cost of an ETA company, is between $400,000 and $2 million, which allows for a lot of opportunity and a roll-up strategy. So buying multiple of these companies and then being able to dominate the local Cleveland area and maybe even beyond that. There's also a lot of opportunity for reoccurring revenue. Firstly, just word of mouth advertisement. So if our company does a good job with the HVAC units, hopefully they would go on to tell their friends about that. The second way that we saw reoccurring revenue that really excited us was commercial contracts. This is basically just a contract that you'll sign with, for example, Target, and for 5 years this company will come and they'll do same-day repairs or quarterly checkups, and there will be a contractual agreement on how much Target is going to pay our company. Another opportunity for reoccurring revenue is quarterly checkups on the residential level. And this is basically a deal with the homeowner. And the homeowner will say, we need our HVAC unit checked X amount of times and we'll give you this much money. There's also an opportunity for a subscription service on the residential level. And this will allow for our company to upcharge on a subscription, and so we can do same-day appointments.
So next, what are the macroeconomic factors that kind of have a play on the HVAC industry? So first, obviously with electricity prices, as we're in a constantly advancing world with new technologies being pushed out every week, the electricity price is going to rise. And kind of connecting this to the HVAC side of things, if you have an older HVAC system, they tend to have a higher energy consumption as well as a lower output. So by replacing your HVAC system, it will provide you with more comfort and a lower electricity bill. Next, for those who live in Ohio, I know that we experience quite a lot of temperature changes even day to day, and we think that there's no higher demand for HVAC than right now, especially in Ohio with the constant temperature changes, and private equity has not yet jumped on the trend in Ohio yet. And next is a new government regulation called SEER, which stands for Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio. And this kind of states that in 2023, every new HVAC system must be up to par with a certain amount of efficiency when producing cold and hot air. Next, a roadblock that we hit in our research was licensing. However, so for the business side, you need to have a general contracting license in order to work on commercial properties. This kind of just states that you are eligible and you have the experience to work on these commercial properties and to repair these units, and a home improvement contracting license to work on the residential side, as well as these technicians need an HVAC certification, but with this, they technically get in trade school. And after speaking to a business owner, we found out that the CEO does not actually need to hold the license. You can have someone in the business holding the license for you, like an employee. However, that would be a little bit risky, considering if they left, you would be in a little bit of a situation. And if you have someone hold it for you, the CEO, as long as they're not working on the jobs, do not technically need any sort of licensing. Next, I'm going to be talking about the attractive attributes of Porter's 5 forces. So first, we have buyer power. So looking at the commercial and residential side, there are obviously a lot more residential properties to be done and more homes. So it would not nearly affect your business as much if a residential property owner were to choose another HVAC provider. However, on the commercial side, with these service contracts and the bigger market on this side, it would hurt a lot more if a commercial company decides to leave you or use another company for their installments. Next, we talked to the CEO of CRS Metalworks, and they said that for a mid-sized business like his, for example, he did $15.5 million in sales last year, and he said that for a mid-sized business, the competitive landscape is actually a lot lower than you'd think it would be, and that there's really not much butting heads in the industry. So this is just kind of like another thing, because there is a lot of fragmentation in the industry and there's no dominant player in Ohio, and so we would like that there would be one number for you to call for all your HVAC services as well. And it is very easily expandable you can easily branch off to electrical work and plumbing. So moving on.
Just to wrap it up, we have our acquisition strategy, and this is going to be a roll-up strategy, just considering the average cost of these HVAC companies. And then our search criteria for those are going to be companies that already have the subscription services that I talked about and the licensing, so that a new CEO who might not know about the industry can come in and work on these companies without needing to know a ton of knowledge. And this is just a glance over of our key takeaways. And thank you.
First of all, guys, excellent job. I'm very impressed. So what do you think the single most important thing, the key to success is in this business?
In this business, in the HVAC industry specifically, I think, especially for the Cleveland area, if you look up HVAC companies near me, it's a heavily fragmented industry, and so what's going to be really important is acquiring multiple of these HVAC businesses so that we can dominate one particular area. If there can be one number to call for HVAC services, that would be huge. There's also a lot of opportunity for expansion once this roll-up opportunity happens, and so I think the single most important thing is going to be effectively using a roll-up strategy.
Way to go, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, great job, Team HVAC. Okay, next up, Team Metal Fabrication. Come on up. Just you? All right.
Hi, I'm Kevin Judas, and I'm going to be representing our team. we wanted to capitalize on the trend of reshoring manufacturing to the U.S. thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act and the CHIPS Act, and we felt that a metal fabrication company was a great way to do that. So we're going to talk a little bit about our search criteria, why we picked the industry that we picked, what we found attractive about it, and then we'll talk a little bit about post-acquisition, what our plan is for growth and adding value. So what exactly were we looking for in a company in an industry? We wanted it to be a small company, single owner, and have established customer and supplier relationships in place already. We want it to be something with staying power, around at least 15 years, so that we know it is a proven business model, and preferably located in Northeast Ohio. We want it to be a product that's got favorable future demand, and it's not going to become obsolete anytime soon and cause us to lose revenue. And we'd like it to be in a fragmented industry because that lends itself well to a roll-up acquisition strategy. And we want it to be something where we can capitalize on the growth of another industry via a pick and shovel strategy, much like in the mid-1850s during the gold rush. A lot of companies were able to make a lot of money by participating indirectly in the gold rush by selling picks and shovels to the gold miners rather than actually mining gold themselves. And we'd also like it to be something that lends itself well to line extensions so that we can sell our products to multiple industries. So why metal fabrication? Well, the big thing is there is a semiconductor wave coming. It's a big deal. As we mentioned, we're talking about the CHIPS Act and the Inflation Reduction Act, and also the Intel plant being built down in Columbus. And it's a big wave essentially, and we want to be able to ride that wave. And our way of riding that wave, our surfboard, if you will, is a metal fabrication company that sells parts to semiconductor manufacturers. We also felt that the metal fabrication industry generally aligns well with our search criteria, and it has good fundamentals. For example, forecasted future growth in the high single digits and operating margins of around 20%. So metal fabrication is pretty much what it sounds like. You're taking some amount of metal and you're applying some sort of process to it and turning it into an end product or something that's going to be used as a sub-assembly part. So you can see here there are a lot of different forms that can take. We are going to focus on finishing specifically, and finishing is applying some sort of a treatment to the surface of a metal to enhance its properties. So that could be coating or plating or polishing. So we found metal fabrication to be an attractive industry for several reasons, the first of which being the potential of new entrants is low because of relatively high barriers to entry. Competition is medium. There are a lot of companies in this space, but there aren't really there isn't a huge dominant player. The threat of substitute products is low, and that's because the properties of metal are not easily replicated by other materials. The buyer power is medium. There are some large buyers, but in general, it's a pretty diverse set of buyers across a lot of different industries. And then supplier power is medium to high, and that's really because the suppliers of these metals, the prices that they charge are going to have a pretty big impact on costs and profitability for metal fabricators, but we're actually going to talk about that and address that in the next slide. So post-acquisition, how do we add value and how do we grow? Well, hedging. So we think one of the things we can do is use forwards and futures to lock in prices on metal and also foreign exchange rates, assuming that we're doing business internationally with buyers and suppliers. We also noticed a lot of these companies are not necessarily super tech savvy, so we think another area where we can get some quick gains would be to digitize the business model, and so that could be things like search engine optimization and CRM systems. And then we also want to take advantage of opportunities for cost synergies and also economies of scale through acquisitions. And this industry really lends itself well to that because it's a very fragmented industry. And as you saw in a previous slide, there are a lot of different categories of metal fabrication, so it lends itself well to vertical and horizontal integration. So the key takeaways I want to leave you with, again, are a semiconductor manufacturing wave is coming. We want to be able to ride that wave, and a metal fabrication company is our way of doing that. And really the thing that we're most excited about is there are a lot of different ways to gain growth post-acquisition. And so we're excited about it, and we hope you are too. Thank you.
All right. Go right ahead.
Hey, Kevin, nice presentation.
Thank you.
So what would you say that the greatest challenge or obstacle that you expect that you will have to overcome?
I think the biggest one is going to be potential capital requirements. So we've actually thought about this, what could be a problem, but a good problem to have. So say we land some of the business with a big metal fabricator, or I'm sorry, a big semiconductor manufacturer. We may need to buy an additional machine. So we see something like that being a little bit of a challenge, but a good problem to have.
All right.
All right. Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Team electrical contractor. I feel like we need some walk-up music for you, Cedric.
Let's skip this is forward.
I think so.
All right.
You can test her.
How we doing, guys and ladies? So we're trying to keep this quick, so forgive the 2X. I don't want to get the stage hook from Scott up here while I'm up here. So I'm Cedric Barber. My team consists of Ariama, Parina, Caroline, as well as Dan. So we're going to talk about electrical contract and how we think that the combination of growth rates along with government backing is going to fuel the industry. So first, what's our criteria? We're looking for an EBITDA of over 750 to 200 or 2 million. Employees about 10 to 30 range with the 5% growth rate. Establish customer base for that continued customer retention, and a scalable platform with potential for roll-up ability. Why electrical contractors? Well, the market right now says that it's valued at $100 billion industry with a growth rate of 7%. So that meets that criteria on our growth side. But also, the big thing is that 60% of that is recurring revenue through the pathway of repairs and maintenance. So we understand the importance through that throughout our conversation today is you need that repeat business. Again, specifically on the EV side, we see a growth rate of 22% specifically to the EV side. Now it says through 2023, but it's actually from 2023 through 2030. And the big thing that we see as far as an advantage for us is to be differentiators in the market is in the residential side. And we'll speak a little bit more about that later. So why is this attractive industry? Well, buyer power, industry rivalry, as well as supplier power is pretty low given that we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just more optimizing the wheel with new components for a better form, fit, and function. Threat of new entrants is high, but it's kind of a big, or we say medium, but it's a gift and a curse because it allows us to kind of penetrate the market as well. So once we penetrate, we have to somewhat put a barrier of entry, in which that's what we look to do as we're differentiators. And threats of substitutes, gas cars are always going to be out there. So if the market ever stills or government backing subsides a little bit, the EV market may not grow as much as we expect. So why Ohio? Already there's 150 million planned through 2026, right? There's no dominant players. We like to say there's no Davy tree of electric services. Actually, using Kadisha's company, we looked at a quick Yelp search, and if you want to put electric chargers in, there's 20 guys that can do it right now. So we see that as great roll-up opportunity and a low barrier to entry, as we said. On the right here, this is from the NEVI platform, which essentially are using the money or using the 150 plan for growth rates or growth markets as far as EV charging stations. So that's what the map, that's where the funding is planned on going. And in fact, Ohio has become the first state to use the Build Back Better Act for increased EV usage and in the state of Ohio. So essentially $7.5 billion from that fund. 150 has already been allocated to Ohio, and we've been the first state here to make use of that funding. Also, there's things such as the $12,500 tax credit per vehicle, which we think that would extend the growth rate of EV vehicles specifically, not just the infrastructure and the charging stations, but also EV vehicles. And in fact, here is a depiction of 2022, the cars sold and registered in the state of Ohio. So on the right, you see there was over 8 million cars registered in the state of Ohio, and only 55 of those were considered EV vehicles, right? But at a 22% growth rate by the year 2030, we expect that number to be 250 vehicles sold that are EVs. That 250 vehicles sold are 250 different cars in residential areas. That's 250 different cars and potential customers for services. So just with 5% of that market, we're talking 12,500 different customers available every year just from this standard growth rate. So with that, as we mentioned, we'd like to be the Davy Tree of electricians in Ohio. And how are we going to do that? How are we going to be differentiators? Well, we look to be EV experts in electricians. So not from your wall power or your dishwashers or your standard service hookups, but we want to be specific and strategic in our approach to attack the EV market and take advantage of their growth. We looked at ignite a sleepy industry with a fresh approach. So again, we're not reinventing the wheel, just more of using the tailwind of the growth rate, the combination of the government backing, and the push for as far as sustainability, and use it to our advantage. So with that said, we think this is a very attractive energy with a high growth rate where we think that we could use those tailwinds to sustain growth and success after our acquisition. So with that.
Way to go, Cedric.
Is that 5? How many minutes is that? 5 minutes? 10 minutes?
Cedric, thank you so much for that presentation. I can say with confidence that anybody in the audience who was sleepy has now been refreshed after hearing your
That's
energy
right.
of that.
Let's go.
My
Coffee.
question for you, though, is you talked about 60% of the revenue being recurring or being maintenance.
Yep.
Now, in the case of the HVAC company, I can get that because you have, service contracts and filter breaks. You got to go clean it and replace whatever, a compressor. Can you walk through what the recurring revenue for electrical is? Because I
Right.
think about it as being a lot of new construction. So
Yep.
can you walk through that 60% is?
Yep. So what we think of the 60% as is because it's a repeat use. So we don't think of it as a plug. It's not necessarily your iPhone charger. When you're talking similar to like a car and the higher voltage, the higher wear. And right now, honestly, infrastructure isn't in a way to like the wattage and the voltage that's coming off the transformers is always going to be upgraded because we're always going to charge faster. So we see that being always evolving to be improved, kind of similar to your cell phone charger, right? Cell phone charger changes every 5 to 6 years on you, right? And we see the same thing being done with the EV service or the EV, where there's always going to be a need for maintenance and repair for something with that high voltage as your residential. You want to make sure that safety protocols and that such are always up to par. So we think that there's a lot of different safety protocols with this huge growth. I think sometimes you forget some of the safety measures. So we think that that'll be a big play for us as well as far as that safety element.
All right, let's give Cedric a hand.
Thank you.
Okay, we've seen 3 quality companies and attractive industries, so I hope you're starting to get the feel for what these acquisition criteria look like. I am now going to turn it over to Team Golf Ball Recovery.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Juliana Seferati.
I'm Abby O'Keefe.
I'm Jeremy Hofius.
And we're here with Hawkins School. This is our entrepreneurship through acquisition, and the industry we chose is golf ball recovery.
The golf ball recovery industry is highly profitable due to the significant amount of mint condition golf balls that are lost every year due to water hazards during each round of play.
So in making this decision, we decided to make an ETA matrix of all the values that we would really want in the industry that we chose. And looking at this, we were deciding between electric carports, golf ball recovery, towing, AI, and shipping. And as you can see, the golf ball recovery had the highest total points.
Because of this matrix, we decide on the golf ball recovery industry, but what is golf ball recovery?
The golf ball recovery industry is when licensed scuba divers engage in contracts with country clubs to be able to dive their water hazards, to gain the golf balls, and then refurbish and sell them online.
This is a very good industry to invest in because there's a lot of roll-up potential within the industry. This is because once you get your company of the golf ball recovery, you can expand this further into pond maintenance for the golf courses, and then expand this even further for pond maintenance for private houses and other locations that need pond maintenance. So strengths for this industry is that it has a lot of reoccurring revenue. There are a lot of customers and golf courses that you can help out. It's a very niche industry and very unique, and it's also very profitable. Weaknesses for this industry is that it's seasonal dependent, at least in Ohio. It has a very niche hiring field, and there's also individual hires that could beat you to the opportunity. Some opportunities for this industry is that you can offer more than other companies. If you follow through with the roll-up potential by doing pond maintenance, it's also very profitable, and it can help the environment by removing the golf balls from the ponds. Some threats are the weather and then pre-existing companies.
Taking a look at the Porter 5 forces, we really wanted to look at every angle of the competition. So looking at the current competition, this is going to be other companies in the industries, such as Sun Valley. Looking at the potential threats, this is going to be the decrease in water hazards on golf ball courses, and I'd like to point out that this is very low chance. Now looking at the power of suppliers, this is also going to be low due to the fact that golf is very popular and the difficult nature of golf. The amount of golf balls that are going to be lost in the water hazards doesn't have a high chance of decreasing. Now looking at the power of customers, this is also very low due to looking at the power of customer, this is also very low due to the unique nature of the industry. The popularity is also going to be very high, and the golf ball courses get half the golf balls back. And then the current threats at the moment is the individual hires that are occurring.
So let's look at some tailwinds and headwinds. Some of the tailwinds being advancements in technology, therefore requiring less scuba divers to actually go down and gather the golf balls, as well as the rising golf industry. Due to COVID-19, the rise in the golf industry skyrocketed because it's an outdoor sport, and social distancing was a big thing. And then some headwinds would be certifications. Because it requires so many certifications to be a golf ball scuba diver, it brings the niche in the field for hiring, makes it very difficult. And then decreases in golf ball costs. If Callaway or TaylorMade decide to stoop as low as Kirkland and plummet their prices, which is very low, then our refurbished golf balls will be harder to sell. So let's take a look at the TAM. So our total addressable market is 300 million golf balls, which is on average lost each year. But as you said earlier, you split about half of that with the country club, so you get 150 million golf balls that you can resell. You multiply that by 1.6, which is the average price that the golf ball resells for, so you get 240 million. And then our service available market would be, you take 240 million and you multiply that by 70%. We got 70% because that's how many golf clubs in the United States out of all of them have water hazards to collect from. And you get 168 million. And then our service obtainable market, you would take the percentage, which is 10,850 golf clubs, and you'd multiply it by 1,200, and that is the dominating company currently in the industry, which you get 11%, and you take 70% and you minus 11% to get 59%, and that is how much of the market is obtainable currently.
Lastly, taking a look at the macroeconomic issues, this is going to be, number one, climate change in general. In the future, if there are droughts, this is going to decrease the amount of water hazards at the golf courses. Next, unemployment in general. And then lastly, the sport of golf becoming unpopular over time.
So what's the reason you should dive into this industry? Is because the potential for roll-up is very high, and it's a very niche field that has very little competition.
All
All right, Hawken. That's great. So quick question for you. I did not know that this was an industry. This sounds really interesting. Thanks a lot for your presentation. Wonderful job. My question is around scalability. How do you grow this so that you can obtain some of that, $260 million or $240 million potential market? And then next, so two-part question, scaling and growing up to that $240 million addressable market. And then what are some of the margins on like profitability on this kind of industry? I'm really interested to know.
So scalability, there's plenty of country clubs that have been untapped or have small handshake deals with the individual hires, which are often a very small percentage of the golf balls, or they can't dive all the ponds because there's so little of them. So you can capitalize on the opportunity to overtake them and grow into these bigger companies. There's one company I think that has contracts with 1,200 of the golf courses, and you're able to like roll up into those and in the pond maintenance area. And then, wait, can you repeat the second question?
It was really around profitability or like margins.
Okay, so the margin, besides like, because you pay the country club 50% of the golf balls, and so you're losing more on revenue than the actual profitability part, because you're taking home 50% of the golf balls, and you're just refurbishing and reselling them, so it doesn't cost you anything to, besides like 50% of the golf balls, to actually go down and dive and refurbish them.
All right. Way to go. Okay, so we're going to bring up our last team, skilled staffing. Then we're going to give the judges a little bit of time to huddle up, and the audience will also vote on page 20. So be ready to do that. So I'd like to welcome up team skilled staffing.
All right, thank you guys all for being here today. We will be pitching an acquisition in the skilled staffing industry. So some quick run through of today's agenda. We're going to talk about our pitch team, do an industry deep dive, talk about some of the attractions of the skilled staffing industry, and follow it up with some of our sources. So first with the pitch team, my name is Cooper Lyons.
My name is Max Ganshorn. Also on our pitch team is Yusuf Masood and Zach Brown. And diving into the industry, the skilled staffing industry is a lot larger than you think. It's actually, a total addressable market is over $200 billion and has seen strong, steady growth with an over 6% CAGR since 2019. And we're not looking at permanent staffing, where you may have a company that just staffs people to a certain company. We're looking at contract-basis staffing with skilled electrical and mechanical laborers, which is an extreme high demand, and we'll get into that later. A lot of the tailwinds and like kind of drivers of this industry is automation and construction, which you've kind of seen skyrocket. And going into those tailwinds, that has really pushed a lot of organic growth in this industry. And there's also significant inorganic growth options through roll-up acquisitions because this market is so fragmented.
So let's dive into some of the tailwinds driving the skilled staffing industry, as well as some low-risk headwinds to be aware of. Firstly, the CHIPS and Inflation Reduction Acts have already incentivized firms to commit over $500 billion in capital to finance new manufacturing projects in the U.S. alone. Additionally, there's a declining supply of skilled labor, as a quarter of this workforce is entering retirement age. Couple that with a pre-existing skilled labor shortage of over 500,000 workers, and you have an industry where skilled staffing agencies are becoming increasingly integral. With that, there are also some headwinds to be aware of. High interest rates are deterring capital investments, but this is being offset by government incentives in addition to interest rates being near their peak. Additionally, immigration reform is deterring some capital investments, but this is being offset again by specializing in skilled labor that requires extensive training and licenses, which is why we won't be as affected by this risk. So here we illustrate the massive influx of manufacturing projects driven by legislation and onshoring efforts. In Ohio alone, corporations like Amazon and Intel are pouring billions into new facilities. Across the U.S., other states are experiencing more frequent and larger onshoring investments as well. Recent news headlines really serve as an evidence to the growing need for labor staffing to meet the demand of new construction projects.
In defining a attractiveness of the industry, we of course did a Porter's 5 Forces analysis, and the really key critical forces here is bargaining power of suppliers and bargaining powers of buyers. And in this case, when you're in this company, your suppliers are actually your workers because you have your talented labor pool, and they know what they're worth. Demand is high right now, and as we discussed before, trades are low, and their supply is overall low. They're gonna push for a higher wage. Fortunately, in this industry, with how much demand there is, we've seen staffing firms set their margin between 20 or 30%, take that wage and just pass all the extra costs directly onto the customer, especially with these larger clients that need these projects done. Looking in terms of industry rivalry, it's moderate and it's really only intense based off geography because you see it's so fragmented. You can look up temporary skilled staffing firms and they're just all over the place. Very fragmented industry which allow for successful roll-ups. And overall, building off what makes those attractive different Porter's 5 Forces, we want to define attractive attributes for a successful acquisition. The two big of those is having an existing sizable customer base that focuses on those larger corporate clients. Think Intel, think Amazon, think of Dematic, all those big projects that require material handling or skilled construction, they need these laborers and there's really high demand for it and low supply. And with larger clients, we can also secure profitable longer term contracts. Second, we're really looking at a superior internal labor pool. We want an existing foundation of labor that has these certifications and licenses that we can expand off of, while additionally we can implement some kind of AI, machine learning, or smart software just to better manage this labor pool to not only prevent burnout, but to keep the labor inside our company and to be able to better send them based on their qualifications. Really here, we're looking to build a niche in the skilled staffing industry, and that's where the profit is. We're focused on certified electricians, HVAC technicians, and the people that have these licenses that you can send in for guaranteed profitability.
So to kind of give you an overview of our investment thesis, we want to firstly focus on highly specialized services in the construction and engineering landscape. Once we acquire a platform, we're going to expand geographically, organically or inorganically to better serve our customers, especially these large corporations like we talk about. Thirdly, we're going to augment our marketing strategy, not just focusing on attaining new customers, but also driving new laborers to our workforce through the option of offering training and licensing programs to them. And finally, we're going to pursue accretive add-on acquisitions to not only realize multiple arbitrage, but to also be a one-stop shop for our customers and for their skilled staffing needs. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Back to John. Okay, good job, guys. Yeah, 2 questions for you. All about labor, right?
Yep.
Union or non-union? What's your competitive advantage to retain these people?
Yep, so I think we're looking primarily at non-unionized just because we could better manage that labor. We don't have to deal with them pushing certain wages costs, and if we can keep that labor based on our software and just pay well enough and guarantee that they go on projects they want, we can keep that labor pool without having to go into those unions. And that helps us with our profitability as well. What was the second question again?
What's your, are you just going to pay more? Is that the strategy?
So it's not just paying more. You can pass those additional costs onto the buyer, especially right now. But as kind of there's a wave coming in with all those onshoring efforts. As that wave even fizzles out, we'll see interest rates come lower, which will push construction even higher. So I don't think it's a matter of just paying your workers more. Of course, they'd want to be paid more, and supplier power is high. It's a matter of having some kind of software and system put in place that could better manage those workers. Because right now you're seeing significant burnout in this industry. That's why 1/4 of them are about to already retire in the skilled staffing space. So if you can attract those workers with an existing company, maybe roll up other companies to bring in those workers as well and better manage them, they're going to want to stay with you more while you're paying competitively.
Yeah, and additionally, we want to offer some of those training programs and licensing opportunities so that we see that as a draw for different laborers in the field to join us and really offer that highly specialized service as well. That's a big differentiator, and not just being your run-of-the-mill labor skilled staffing industry.
All right, way to go.
So Mark, can you put up the slide that has the 5 different teams just so everybody in the audience knows? So on page 20, go ahead and scan that QR code so we can get our crowd favorite. Pick your favorite team. We're going to give the judges here a minute to huddle up. So I want to mention a couple of things while the judges are reviewing. First of all, is Kevin Shaw still in the room? There's Kevin. So Kevin volunteered to be the first entrepreneur in residence for the ETA program here at Weatherhead. And the primary mission so far was to work with the ETA pitch teams and help them get ready. So I'd love to give Kevin a round of applause for supporting that effort. And Kevin, as being the smart guy that he is, he's already recruited his wife Joyce to help him prepare for next year. So she's here taking notes, and she's gonna take it even to a whole nother level. But that's amazing. Jack and Tyler, Jack Rayfoth and Tyler Fond, can you guys stand up for a second? So Jack and Tyler are MBA students here at Weatherhead, and I reached out to Jack. I can't even remember, there's been so much going on, sometime last spring, maybe this summer, and said, hey, are you interested in taking over the mantle of leading a brand new ETA club? And he, being the smart leader that he is, he recruited a partner, and these two guys turned that. It's got to be one of the bigger clubs. There's 61 members in the ETA club, the first go around. So let's give these guys a hand. And they did an amazing job. Thanks, guys. They did an amazing job getting teams excited about the pitch competition. And then I also want to acknowledge April Bain. You stand up just for a second. So April, she's the teacher at Hawken that got these Hawken teams ready. I mean, it's incredible. I think they had a lot less time. It's 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, something like that. And the thing that was amazing about that is their competition. So April reached out to us and asked GJ and Reed and I to judge the pitch competition at Hawken, and their pitch competition was 9 minutes. And so these teams not only had to get ready in like 3.5 weeks, they had to go from 9 minutes to 5 minutes, which was hard. I felt like I was listening to my Audible on 1.5x speed. So great job. That's one way to do it. Way to go. Very good. All right. You know, one of the things that I thought was like super fascinating. So when we were at Hawken, we were really impressed with the teams, and we got to meet with everybody afterwards. And I asked, how many of you heard about this prior to this project? And nobody had heard about it. And then I said, well, how many of you are like seriously interested in this? And just about everybody put their hands up, which I think is super cool. You know, I didn't hear about this until I was 30. And it took me until I was 35 to get organized to actually go out and search. So, you know, I was joking around with Reed and GJ that, you know, I feel like I got to get really busy and hustle before these guys enter the market, and because I don't want to compete with them, you know. But anyway, you guys did a fantastic job, and I think it's a great testament to the potential and the opportunity of what ETA has to offer, that we've got, you know, interest at that level. All right, I'm going to do a quick peek here to see how our audience voting is going. You said it's closed? Oh, it says it's full. Okay. Well, we have a pretty significant. I'm not sure why it's. Let's see. I'm not going to touch anything because we've got a whole bunch of people that have finished, and there's a few people that are locked out. But I think we've got a critical mass to pick the crowd favorite. So we'll do that in a moment. How are we doing here? Do we have first, second, third? All right. First, second, third. Is that what we're doing? Yeah. So I'll. Just pass it on. Thank you. Okay. So what we're going to do. Let me see what we got here. Okay, cool. So we have, all right, this is fun. Okay, here we go. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring up the third place team first. April searched ETA pitch competition on YouTube to see if she could have some examples for the students to see what a pitch competition looks like. And the ETA Club of Weatherhead practice session came up in the search. And April shared that with the students, and Maddox said, I'm going. And so he showed up at the practice for the Weatherhead teams, and basically was doing some, corporate espionage. But he disclosed that he was there. But I love that initiative, and he came back fired up, feeling ready to go. All right, so the third place winners of $500, and it turns out the crowd favorite, I'd like to welcome back up Team Electrical Contractor. So if we could get, if whoever presented, if you've got other people on your team, come on up. I want to get the judges up here. We're going to do a quick picture. So let's get the whole team up here. We've got the photographer. Can I get the judges to come on up on the stage for a second? So we'll get you guys in the middle holding your check. We'll run around you. Go ahead, grab the check. Let me get on the end here. Go ahead, hop in. All right, thank you. All right, way to go. You guys can keep that. Yeah, you can keep it. That's for you. I don't know. Yeah, you can try to cash it at CF Bank. See if that works. Okay. The second place team. And winners of $1,000 are Team Skilled Staffing. Come on up. All right, we got a big group. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Congratulations. You guys. Yeah, go right ahead. Thank you. Nice job. Way to go, guys. Way to go. Thank you. Congratulations. All right, Phil, let's get a good shot here. Just make sure you can see the camera. Yeah. There we go. Perfect, guys. Right this way. Let's straighten out the check. There we go. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Lauren. Okay, and our first place team. We're going to have to do a table drum roll here for this. Oh, look at that. The first place team, Team HVAC. Come on up. Come on up. No. April, you have to come up. We're not taking the picture without you.
We'll send you a picture. Oh, there you go. Great job, guys.
All right. Hey, thank you, everybody. That was fantastic. And that is the conclusion of our pitch competition. And we are actually 3 minutes ahead of schedule, which is amazing. That's a testament to Jeff's design and planning. I'm going to turn it back over to our facilitator, Jeff, and he's going to take us home with some good energy here.
Thank you, Scott. Let's have one more round of applause for everybody involved in that pitch competition. I was feverishly taking notes because I think someone mentioned earlier, I teach at the local university back home, and one of the courses is a consulting course where we do presentations, so I was looking at how they were judged in the process. Amazing to see what's happening in this community.